Hello, welcome to the Freeman Conversations. I am Fred Langido, the news editor of the Freeman. Today, we're chatting with the Regional Director of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency in Central Visayas, Director Yogi Ruiz. We will be talking about the drug situation in Central Visayas, the challenges that they are facing. Feel free to join our conversation by sending us your questions or your comments. Director Yogi Ruiz, welcome to the Freeman Conversation, sir.
Sir Fred, good afternoon to you and to the viewers right now. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of the interaction we have, and we have the opportunity to present the programs of PDEA 7.
First of all, we thank you for your time, for dropping by, and for granting this interview. I know this is a long overdue interview. We're supposed to have this a few weeks ago, but because of your very busy schedule, we had to reschedule it.
Yes, sir. I apologize. The office right now, we have to, every day we have influx of information coming in, and I apologize, but still, we are very much grateful for giving us the opportunity to present our plans and programs.
Now, we're going to talk about the drug situation in Central Visayas. Where are we now in the campaign against illegal drugs?
Right now, we can say that the drug situation right now in the Visayas, if you can compare when the President assumed office in July 2016, the price of drugs that time was around 6,500 pesos per bulto, or that is the 5 grams packaging. Right now, we are hovering at the level of 16,500 to 17,000 pesos per bulto, per 5 grams. So, we at PDEA 7, we interpret it as some sort of, there is scarcity of supply in the streets. But nonetheless, drugs are still available in the streets. That's why we at PDEA, we are on overtime mode 24/7.
You said there are still available drug supply in the street, so we also heard almost every day there are operations, not only by PDEA but as well as with the other operating units like the PNP, the National Bureau of Investigation. Are we winning the fight against illegal drugs?
I can say so. We are winning the fight, but we have to take into consideration this problem did not take overnight. It took maybe decades before we got to this point in the problem that we are facing right now. So we have to accept that situation. We are taking drugs off the streets by going after the high value targets, but what we are asking right now is, when we take away the drugs, the users are still there. There will always be craving for the drug. So, with where PDEA is going right now, with the strategy being directed to us by PDEA Director General Isidro Lepena, we go to the grassroots. We go fight drugs in the barangay level. We also hit them by going after the supply, the high value targets. So, we have to accept this will not take overnight, but still, I can say if we are going to rate the drug campaign of the government, I think we are around, in a scale of 1 to 10, we are around 8.5.
How soon can this fight against drugs be over?
Maybe if we can institutionalize 100% checking on our ports. That is all cargoes coming into the Philippines. I think we can say by that time, 80% to 90% we can take drugs off the streets. I can just say, PDEA, we are doing our job. We are winning the war in the street level after the high value targets. But if we could not institute drastic changes in our ports, I think we will need a bit more time to fight this war.
Do you think this will be over, let's say, after the term of President Duterte?
I think this will be dropped around 70 to 80%. That's my projection. If the way things are going right now, the way the government is supporting us, this will be down to 70 to 80%. But again, I have to reiterate that the problem we are facing right now did not take overnight. This took decades, and then we are just being asked by the community to say deliver in 5 to 6 years. Things are doable, but realistically speaking, we have to do something with the addicts first, because there will always be demand. No matter how much you take it off the streets, no matter how many tons you take off the drugs coming inside, but the demand is still there.
So you're saying the priority now in our campaign against illegal drugs is getting rid of the demand? Is that?
I can say that's one of the strategies being implemented by the government right now. PDEA is following the two-pronged approach. Number one, we go after the demand. That is taking off the drug users, going and doing the supply reduction. That is going after the supply. You have to take into consideration the Philippines is the #1 target right now of the drug syndicates.
Why is that?
We have to look at that in the ASEAN context. The Philippines right now, we have around 4 million plus users. We have 4 million plus users. Whereas in Indonesia, they have around 1,200,000 registered users. In Malaysia, they have around 500,000 plus users. Singapore, a bit lower. Japan, also a bit lower. And of all the countries that we have right now in ASEAN, we are the only country that does not have the death penalty in terms of drug smuggling, in terms of drug pushing. So, in the number of users, if I were the businessman, naturally I will go and do my business. I will conduct my business in a country, in a place where there are many potential users. There are many potential customers. So, if you take the number of 4 million plus users right now, so that is a very tempting figure for the drug syndicates to come in. No matter how hard we work, if we could not, I'm not saying that we need this one, but along the road we need to have the reactivation of the death penalty. That's for me being a law enforcer.
So, what do you think is the biggest challenge that we are facing right now in the campaign?
The biggest challenge I can say is that we need to have more support from the community. Right now, people are saying, what is the government doing? What is PDEA doing? But the question is, me as a law enforcer, as being the director of PDEA 7, I can ask, what is the community doing? So, if we can be more vigilant in our community, we can have more information coming in, we will be more productive in our job. People are asking, what we are doing? I can ask them in return, what are you doing to contribute to the fight? All we need is the information. To provide us the information.
So the challenge now you're saying is the lack of support coming from the community.
That's, I can say, lack of support or maybe lack of maturity by the community. Because they are just saying that maybe these people that are doing drugs, maybe these are just part of their growing up period. But I can say, once you do drugs, it will already be it will already be part of your system unless you get professional help.
So what are you doing to, encourage more people, members of the community, to give you information and to cooperate in the campaign?
Right now, we appreciate especially this venue that you have been giving us. This is a way for us to reach out to the community to support us in our anti-drug campaign. Any people in your immediate surroundings that you think or you are suspecting that they are dealing in drugs, give us the information and let us act on it. But do not be too, I will say, too judgmental, because people, they think when they give the information, they need that by overnight it will be acted upon. Because what we need to build is the evidence. We need to have a strong evidence against that person, because once you do a haphazard type of operation, it can only result in two things. Number one, it can result in you are damaging that person's name. And number two, you are damaging your career as a law enforcer. So I would say to my personnel, gather as much evidence as you can. Gather as much evidence as you can. And when we have the right amount of evidence, that's the time we conduct our operations.
But you also have to take into consideration the security concerns of these ordinary people in the community. Some of these people are reluctant to cooperate because they do not have the guarantee from the government of their security. So if they are going to report or to give information to the law enforcers, what is the government or what the government can do to ensure their safety?
Yes, for me, I'm not speaking, I could not speak for other agencies, but for us in PDEA, we can assure 100% the identity of the person providing the information will remain confidential. That's our promise, and that is a covenant that we give to the community that we will never break. Because once we start doing that, you lose the trust of the community. Right now, I am proud to say, every day there are hundreds of information coming in, and we are right now having the time to link all these different information that are coming in. But the question is, sometimes it is the information that they are giving is more or less just very basic information. What we need is the concrete information. If you can provide us the specific name of the person, the address,
the sketch,
no need for the sketch. Just give us the specific name, the specific address, and then from there, I assure you, things can go faster.
Another problem that probably the community is concerned about is, you can never be sure if the person you are giving the information is really serious in the campaign against illegal drugs. For all we know, these people or these members of the law enforcement agency is on the take.
For us in PDEA, with that type of concern, for us in PDEA, I can assure you it will never happen. PDEA is continuously, we are doing internal cleansing, and that is also one of the priority programs being done by our Director General. Continuous internal cleansing, strengthening of our counter-intelligence information, that is investigating those PDEA personnel that are that have sort of derogatory information. So what I can assure you is that every information that is coming in to PDEA, it will remain confidential. And we have our own Facebook page, that is the PDEA Cebu at yahoo.com, PDEA Cebu, they can share the information there.
Can you guarantee our viewers right now 100% that there is no single PDEA agent in Central Visayas that is involved in illegal drugs or on the take from the people behind this illegal drug problem?
Me personally, I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that. We are continuously monitoring our personnel. It is not only in terms of monitoring their output, but also in terms of monitoring their activities. So, in that way, we can assure the community that our personnel will always be, will have a high sense of integrity.
How are you taking, reports like this? Say, for example, there would be information that some of your agents or personnel of PDEA are involved in illegal drugs.
Number one, we have to also conduct proper investigation. That's what we do. We conduct proper investigation so as, because we could not deny in our type of job, there will always be what you call the detractors, or there could always be persons that during the course of our doing our job, they could have been affected. So, to give due process to the person, we conduct proper investigation in all aspects, including his day-to-day activities. And we, at PDEA, I'm proud to say, we have continuous and regular surprise drug testing. So, with that, I am proud to say, and I'm proud to say it to my family, especially my children, that every time I go home, I have done my job to the best of my ability.
There have been allegations in the past involving operations of PDEA that, quote-unquote, planting of evidence. How do you, take these allegations?
Along the course of my being a law enforcer, I have been with PDEA since the start of PDEA. I am part of the first batch of PDEA agents that graduated from PDEA Academy. I have been in hundreds of operations. It is always the most common allegations of these arrested persons that there is planting of evidence. In the first place, we, being the lead agency, we always conduct our operation based on evidence. We have to, number one, if you can have video or photographic documentation of the person dealing in drugs, that's already a big thing for us. So, along the course of my being in operations, I have come across those kind of excuses, those reasoning that the drugs that were confiscated from them were planted. But I can assure the community that it has never happened under my watch.
What do you do to address these allegations like this? Like, when you conduct operation, do you have a video of the operation? Like our personnel, do they have some sort of body camera to take pictures or video during the operation to ensure that it is really clean and those allegations that planting of evidence are not really true?
We have been using, as part of our standard operations, we have GoPro cameras.
Okay.
So every operating team have to use that camera, and we are using it in every operation.
Okay.
And that is number one. That is our number one deterrent for those insinuations or those allegations that there is planting of evidence.
For our viewers and those who are not really familiar with how you conduct your operations, can you some sort give us the standard operating procedures? How do you conduct the operation? What are the things that the operatives need to do in conducting the operations?
First and basic thing that every operative must have. Number one, we need to have the initial surveillance. We need to have positive proof that that person is involved in dealing in drugs.
So how do you do that?
By what we call it, the casing and the surveillance operations.
So you conduct test buy prior to the operation?
If the opportunity is there, we conduct a test buy.
Okay.
What we do is the casing and surveillance. That is the time we send our agents. We have a team of agents that their job is only to conduct the casing and surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to blend in.
Mm.
So we do that. During the actual operation, we prepare. Of course, we designate a pusher buyer.
Mm.
We designate an arresting officer. We designate if it is a search warrant, we designate an evidence custodian. In terms of buy-bust operation, we always have the buy-bust money withdrawn from our disbursing officer, from the funds of the office.
Mm.
That's what we are doing. And during the actual operation, we always make sure that there is an exchange of money and drugs.
Mm.
And after that, the pre-arranged signal is always given to the backup team.
Mm.
And that's the time we conduct the arrest. And when the person has been arrested, before we place the handcuffs, we always read his rights or her rights. That's very basic. That's very basic. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Now, but do you invite members of the media or barangay officials to witness the conduct of the buy-bust operations?
If the opportunity for members of the media and barangay officials is there to bring them along, so why not? There's no harm in doing it. But we have to take into consideration also the safety of the members of the media and the members of these elected officials. You have to take into consideration also, because especially if that member of the media is already quite known in the community, it can also jeopardize the operation. Because something, especially you, sir, if you will be in the streets, we will be bringing you along. People already know you. People recognize you because they know you. They already see you regularly. Also with these elected officials, part of their job is facing their constituents in the community. So they are quite known already. That's why, as much as possible, our primary objective is to accomplish the mission, and number two is to safeguard your safety. Safeguard also the safety of the members of the media and the elected officials. We never want anything bad or anything that could happen to members of the media.
So that is why, in most cases, when you conduct buy-bust operation, there are no members of the media present, nor public officials.
Yes, sir. We have to also to realize these people that we are trying to arrest. Before they became pushers, most of them were users of drugs. They went into drug pushing just to sustain their vice. And when those type of people are the ones that we are going to arrest, that means they already have what we call that impeded judgment. That's why if you have read in the news, I think that was 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I'm not sure. One of our agents got shot because the target personality was able to draw his gun and fire first before the backup team arrived. So with that, those are the examples why bypass operations are sort of delicate operations.
This is just a personal observation. I have noticed that most of the operations conducted by PDEA are, bypassed rather than serving the search warrant. Why is that so?
Number one, we are going after targets that have been involved in selling drugs. It is the opportunity that is presenting itself. When the opportunity is there, based on surveillance of our personnel, based on the surveillance of our agents, the target is there. He is already, we have observed, he has already got his supply, and he is on mode of trying to sell all his stocks. So we try right there and then to do a bypass operation. But there are certain targets that the opportunity needs for us to have a search warrant, and it depends on the situation. But most of the time, especially right now, the targets that we have, the mode of operation that is present for us, and based on my judgment, it is my judgment call as the director, we see that the bypass operation best suits the target. And most of the targets that we have right now, because they are very fluid, they do not stay in the same place for a long period of time. They try to transfer in different places.
Very mobile. So it's hard to apply for search warrant.
Yes, sir. I hope members, our members of the community can support us in further giving us more information regarding this type of persons.
But this is not because you find it very hard to get the support from the other branches of the government, like the judiciary.
No.
No.
We are at the time right now where the whole of government approach in the fight against drugs is working at its highest. We at the enforcement, the people, our colleagues in the prosecution, our colleagues, our judges, we are at the point where we are working together. So I'm quite confident that we can do this, but never has it happened as a reason why we resort to bypass operation. Never has it happened that we resorted to that because of we do not trust the judiciary. It has never happened.
But there were not also instances that you were denied of your application for search warrant.
Yes, there were instances. I have to accept. There were instances. But those were not the fault of the judge. Those were not the fault of the judge who was going to sign the warrant. I have to accept it was the fault of our personnel. Because maybe they lack the necessary attachments. They lack further information, more information that needs to be presented in the document itself.
How hard it is to, secure a search warrant from the court?
We have to understand different courts have different judges. So there are courts that are more lenient. There are also courts that direct their questions more strictly. So we have to accept. But as based on my experience, before you go to the court, if you have done your homework, you have attached everything, you have done the necessary surveillance, no judge will deny that request.
Now we have to understand that in the fight against illegal drugs, it is not only all enforcement, it is not only all arrests. We also have to take into consideration the prosecution. How is our cases, or how are our cases going right now in the courts or at the prosecutor level?
Cases right now, we also have to understand that there are how many fiscals that we have right now in the city, in the province. We have to understand that it is not only us that's filing cases. There are other law enforcement units that are filing cases. We have to understand that because they need to have strong evidence, they need to have a strong case so that it can stand in court. We have to understand that sometimes there are prosecutors that are really quite strict in reviewing our documents. But we understand, and we have, based on experience, again, if you do your job well, if you did it correctly from the start until such time you file the case, then everything will fall in.
What's the percentage, if I may ask, that our arrest, really gets into court for trial?
We have more or less, I think, if you are asking Sir Fred regarding the cases that are filed in court, how many? I will say around 90%. 90%. But it's different story regarding conviction.
Yes, I understand. But what happened to the 10%?
We have to understand there really are some things that are maybe because of just being overlooked, but those are already being. That's not PDEA alone. Though I am talking as a whole, because we have PDEA right now. We have the court monitoring system. Those are personnel hired by PDEA to monitor the cases from the start, from the prosecution, the filing of the case, to the actual court hearing, and up to the time the case is being disposed. It is either, I think the time the case is decided, either acquitted or convicted. So with that, we can see where the dismissal is happening. And if we can see a trend, that's the PDEA, through our Director General, can make some sort of corrections to that.
This 10% that you're saying is dismissed at the prosecutor level?
Yes, there are instances like that.
Why is that?
Maybe just, number one, lack of evidence. Lack of evidence by the operating unit. I'm not saying it is by PDEA. There are many units operating. So,
but if it is bypass operation, why it happened that it lacks the evidence?
Number one is that there are many things that you need to take into consideration. You need to attach. I have seen that, number one, it's the chain of custody of the evidence has not been followed. So with that, the courts already, once the case will get into trial, the courts can already, you can already see that case is going to get dismissed.
That is very technical when you say chain of evidence. Can you explain that?
This is an example. if this is the drug that is during the arrest. During the arrest, the practice of PDEA is that during the arrest, it should always be the post-share buyer that should have actual custody of the drugs until such time it is being delivered to the laboratory for analysis, for examination. So there is only one person that is in possession of the drug. So there are instances where maybe I don't know where it happened. There are instances where the chain of custody has not been followed. So with that, I can already see that this case is not going anywhere.
Okay. Now we have some questions from our viewers. During operations, there are always allegations of evidence being planted. Of course, that has been answered already. Give us details. What do you do exactly during evidence gathering against suspected posters or users?
Details. Number one, we need to have the actual observation that there is drug dealing done by that person. We need to have that confirmation. Number two, we have different equipments at our disposal. We can use them to gather video and photographic evidence. So those are the things that we do.
Okay. Today, before that, the president recently said or admitted that it is really hard to control drugs in the country. Do you share the same sentiment?
Maybe for me, being a law enforcer, I think this is very much doable. It's just that we need a bit longer period. Time, patience, and most of all, the cooperation of the community. Again, I'm going back. We have to understand this did not take overnight. So, as long as we can have 100% checking of all cargoes coming in, that's the time I can confidently say, we can stop or control drug use here in our country.
Where does the supply come from? Local or international?
Before, the drug syndicates was employing in-country manufacturing of drugs. That means we
have laboratories.
We had laboratories before. We were able to bust laboratories. Setting up laboratories will entail logistics. They need to import the equipments. They need to import the chemicals. They need to import, most of all, the most important thing, they need to import the chemist. So there are 3 instances that they are prone to detection by law enforcers. Importation of the equipment, importation of the chemicals,
precursors,
and the importation of the chemist. They need to bring in the chemist. So what we have seen right now, it is bulk smuggling. It is bulk smuggling. It is being cooked outside of the country. It is smuggled in. It's either they only need one process or it's already in finished form. That's finished product. So there are 2 types of bulk smuggling. Smuggling in of finished product or smuggling in of that is liquid shabu, liquid drugs. It is still in liquid form. It still needs one more process before it will become, it will be ready for distribution in the streets.
But they still need the equipment.
It's just very much minimal equipment. It's very it's unlike the manufacturing. This type of this mode of operation being done by the syndicate right now, it is less risk but high reward for them. Unlike the cooking, high risk but very high reward, because they do not need to pass other government agencies. I don't need to mention it. They do not need to give for something. I'm disappointed and I don't want to mention it, because we're doing our job. We're happy taking off.
You're referring to the Bureau of Customs.
I don't know that I don't want to mention it. But we are.
But there's only one agency involved in the shipment.
We are risking our lives in the streets, taking drugs off the streets. Me, I personally go with my men so as to ensure there is high integrity in the operation being conducted.
So you personally go with the operatives, huh?
Yes, sir. So what we do, we but not all the time, because we have to understand there are operations also that are being done. I have to accept. We have to rest sometimes. So we are happy already. We can take 1 kilo or 2 kilos of the streets. We are risking our lives just to do that, because these drug syndicates, they really fight us up. They really fight us off. But here comes this bulk smuggling, hundreds of kilos coming in.
That 6.4 billion worth of the shabu confiscated in Valenzuela City. Do you think part of that is going to Cebu?
I could not say that. I could not say where most of those drugs are coming in. But the thing is, we have to see. We have to look at the situation. Once it gets inside the country, there's no more monitoring regarding the movement of goods and cargoes. So it's good that it got intercepted before it got distributed. And we have to take into consideration, Cebu is the center of activity in the Visayas. We have a shipping industry that is able to cater to almost all ports in the Philippines.
So you're saying it is possible that part of that shipment could be for Cebu?
I am not saying conclusively, but let's just looking at from the viewpoint of a law enforcer. There is no other port in the Philippines that can match the accessibility of our ports in Cebu. We can reach all other ports in the Philippines from Cebu alone. So with that, if I were the drug syndicates, all I need is to hurdle is the part that's coming in. Once it gets inside the country.
But taking into consideration the pronouncement coming from no less the President that identifying Cebu as the hotspot of drugs, so there is that possibility, always that possibility that 6.4 billion worth of illegal drugs could have could have landed in Cebu, no?
Yes, sir. There's that possibility, sir. But I think the President made that pronouncement because he has seen how aggressive we are fighting drugs here in Cebu.
Yes, that's another concern. If we are really that aggressive in our campaign against illegal drugs, how come that almost every day we are having operations and we get to confiscate kilos and kilos of shabu? Where did this supply come from?
Yes, that's the question that, again, if I will have the answer to that question, for sure these people that are responsible for smuggling in this bulk smuggling of drugs. If I will have the answer to that question, I don't know what will happen, but I'm pretty sure they will be the news the next day.
Sir, if you can just tell the public, what is the scope of PDEA?
Right now, PDEA is the lead agency in the fight against drugs. We are coordinating all the efforts of the government in terms of drug enforcement. So we have to look at that situation because government has limited resources. There are many agencies fighting drugs, and there are times wherein one agency or two agencies are going after one target. So in order to rationalize, in order to have a systematic approach to the fight against drugs, that is where PDEA comes in. And being the lead agency in the fight against drugs, we have to strategize, and we need to have a systematic approach to the fight against drugs. For example, one unit is already conducting operations against this target. For us, PDEA, we have to conserve our resources. I have to decline requests by other units to conduct an operation against that personality. So, I think that's one way that we are being successful right now in our fight against drugs. It is being systematic. We have to understand these drug syndicates, they have unlimited resources. And we in the government, we have very much limited resources. And the way PDEA is managing the anti-drug campaign right now, we are achieving so much.
The public can see that, but only that there seems to be a bottomless supply of drugs right now in the country. And you're saying there is no laboratory in the country right now? These are all smuggled.
Yes, sir. That's the pattern. That's the mode that we have seen right now. It's bulk smuggling that's coming in, and hopefully, with the way things are being investigated right now in Manila, hopefully this can bring about more concrete, more stringent measures that can be put in place so that we can avoid this type of bringing in drugs.
We have a Cebu-based businessman linked to that shipment in Manila. Is he? I'm referring to the Kenneth Dong. Is he in your list?
I have first to answer. He is not in our list. He is not in our list. I have to first. He is not based in Cebu. He has a business here in Cebu. There was an instance, I think I already have answered that before. There was an instance last year wherein PDEA, we were given information, just just to try and check what is the personality of this guy, because he was spending money as if as if it was unlimited. So we conducted our investigation, but there was no drug angle during that time. Here comes, it was from himself. He made this statement. So for us in PDEA, we will, if there is any drug-related angle, we will really investigate.
So right now you are conducting investigation against him?
Yes.
So what do you have so far?
I can't divulge. It's just like I am in a boxing match, and my opponent is in front of me, and I will say, I will punch you in the head, okay?
But is he a Filipino or?
He's Chinese.
Chinese?
Yes.
No Filipino blood?
No.
But he is based in where?
I see Manila.
He's in Manila.
He's
But
in
he has a business in
He
Mandawi.
is regularly here in Cebu.
Okay, but he's not close to, you know, some law enforcers in Cebu also.
No, there's no. We have not established those yet.
What was the instance before that you said you conducted an investigation against him?
It was just based on casual conversation I had with the business community. Why don't you? There was some people approaching me. Why don't you try and check this guy? Because it's as if he's spending money like it's unlimited. So, out of respect to the person that's giving us the information, I tasked my agents to conduct.
So what happened to that investigation?
We were not able to see a drug angle.
Okay. So in effect, he was cleared.
No, the investigation was not terminated.
Okay.
There was no termination order from me to stop the investigation. And here comes, is right from him. He made the statement that he acted as a middleman for that shipment. So, the more that I will be making a deeper investigation.
So what's the possibility that his club in Mandawi is being used as drug dealing venue?
I don't. It would be unfair if I will. It will be unfair to the other people that are doing to his partners because he does not own it. He's just one of the owners.
Okay.
It would be unfair to his business partners that are doing business legitimately, and it would also be unfair to the employees that are doing their job properly.
But have you checked that possibility?
Yes.
That is being used?
Yes, but we have not seen.
No. Okay. That's good.
In your ongoing investigation against him, sir, is he cooperating?
No, we have not yet. We are conducting this motu proprio just on our own initiative. We have not sent any request or any notice or any subpoena to him. PDEA has subpoena powers. We have not sent any subpoena to him to appear in any PDEA office. But that does not mean that we will not be asking him to appear in any formal investigation to be conducted by us.
But with this incident now, are you considering to issue subpoena against him?
Not yet. But I will be asking your clearance. I will be asking for clearance from my Director General regarding that.
How about the other businessman, Peter Lim? Do you have an ongoing investigation against him?
There's an ongoing investigation conducted by another agency. I do not want to meddle in their investigation, but there's a formal investigation being done right now. But we have not been tasked to do it.
What is your participation in that investigation?
PDEA, as the lead agency, we receive reports. We receive reports regularly. I am also being provided by our head office constant reports. But with regards to the actual conduct of operation here,
He was not a subject of in any investigation of the PDEA.
I could not answer it yet, but all I can say is there is another agency conducting the investigation.
Well, prior to that controversy, what report do you have, if any, against that businessman, Peter Lim?
It's hard to answer. But, all I can say is there's another agency that's conducting investigation.
I'm sorry, I have to ask this topic.
Yes, I understand. But it's just the room is cold, but I suddenly felt.
Yeah, it gives us the impression that why, the law enforcers seems to be very careful when it comes to Peter Lim. Why is that so?
No, it's not that we are careful. It's just that it's not that we are. It's just we need to have concrete evidence. That's for us in PDEA. I could not speak for other agencies. For PDEA, we have a set of procedures.
But he was already named by President Duterte.
Yes, but the thing is, we have not been tasked to conduct the investigation.
Where did that information come from? I mean, the information that the president has.
I think I recall there was a congressional inquiry before, way back before I joined. It was before I joined PDEA.
Yeah.
There was a congressional inquiry before, and I think they based those
Report or
reports.
information.
They based the information based on the congressional inquiry.
Okay. According to former Congressman Tony Cuenco, he was some sort of disappointed because they have already the recommendation long time ago for PDEA and NBI and also with DOJ to pursue the investigation and for case build-up, but until now, according to him, there has been no charges filed.
It's hard to answer, especially you are not the one that is being tasked to conduct the investigation. I can assure, this is just the thing I can say. If it was our office that has been tasked to conduct the investigation, I think we could have. I could answer more freely those questions.
Okay, but you are willing to investigate Mr. Lim if you will be tasked to conduct the investigation?
Yes, especially if there is an order from higher office.
Okay. Now let's go to Mr. Franz Sabalunes, the self-confessed drug lord. Earlier in the day, your men, or I do not know if you were also there in San Fernando, served the order from the court. What will happen next?
My agents served together with the sheriff of Branch 18 served a provisional asset preservation order. That is tantamount to
freeze order.
We already have frozen his assets way before.
Okay.
So that is tantamount to forfeiture.
Okay.
That is tantamount to forfeiture. We're giving them 20 days for them to submit controverting evidence regarding their assets being proceeds from illegal activities. So what we have done is that we have confiscated properties and assets that we believe could be sourced, could be derived from illegal activities.
So that was already a forfeiture order.
Yes.
So what will happen to the properties? That will be under the custody of PDEA or the court?
It will be forfeited in favor of the government. It will go to the National Treasury. National government will decide on what to do with that. If I have to say, this is the first time this has happened, so I'm not familiar of what the next thing that will happen. But if given the opportunity to recommend, we would recommend to have those places, to have it used as rehabilitation centers. So it can be put into good use.
Okay, but that's good. But is that already final or?
After 20 days, it will become final.
Okay, so Mr. Sabalunes can no longer appeal before the Court of Appeals or before the Supreme Court, no more?
No more.
Okay, so your recommendation is to make use of that property as rehabilitation centers.
Yes.
Okay. How many properties are we talking about?
Talking in totality of around worth 350 million pesos.
Worth of properties?
Yes.
All in, is that all in San Fernando?
Different places. Different places. I don't have the specific properties, but the total figures that we have is around 350 million plus.
Is that including the bank deposits?
Yes.
Bank deposits, but the lots.
Also,
Okay, including the lots. And
we computed it based on market value.
Fair market value.
Fair market value.
Should those properties be converted into rehabilitation centers, or where will the money come from to maintain, for example?
It should come. It will come once it will be converted into rehabilitation centers. It will come from the national government. It will come from the national government.
What do we need to do that? Do we need to ask clearance from the court to make use of that property?
Once it will be reverted, it will be forfeited in favor of the government. The president has the discretion on what to do with it.
Okay, but with your recommendation. Okay, you are making the recommendation. But do we have the money to build the infrastructure?
Yes, I think that's one of the priority programs of the government right now, is in what to do with the drug users. So I think it's doable. We can also find supporters to do it for us, just like what happened in Nueva Ecija, wherein there were good Samaritans who helped the government in build a 10,000 bed capacity rehabilitation center.
Sir, I'm not sure if you have already issued a statement before, but many of the users and even the pushers are getting younger and younger. What's your stand on the proposal to lower criminal liability, the age of criminal liability?
I am not a politician, but speaking from a law enforcer's perspective, I can say it's not proper to lower it to 15 years old. 15 years old. Because right now it's 18 years old and below. It's not proper to lower it to 15 years old. Lower than that, I think it's more or less, it's too much. But it should have a corresponding penalty for the parent or for the guardian if the parent is not there anymore. It should have a corresponding penalty, because I can say it is not the fault of the child always. There could be a fault in the guidance of that child.
You said earlier that one of the biggest challenges is lowering the demand for illegal drugs. How exactly do you think we can do that and make that happen?
What we are doing right now, PDEA is at a point where we have accepted that fighting drugs does not mean actual operations. Fighting drugs also means going to the schools, going to the community, make them aware. You kill the curiosity. That's what we do. First and foremost, you kill the curiosity. That's what is bringing in new users. Because they are curious. What is this drug? Why is it that? That's what we do. This is what will happen to you if you use drugs. This is what will happen to you. And once you use drugs, because it has been glamorized before. So we show to them, this is what will happen to you. And I have seen it's effective, considering the number of users that are compared to years before. It was in the hundreds, almost every week, hundreds that we can see that are getting addicted. But right now, we can see it's just more or less the old users the users that we have right now, they are the ones that are the problem that we have to contend with.
One final question: how is our local officials, I mean the barangay officials, supporting our campaign now after you filed the case against one barangay captain, and unfortunately for him, he got suspended?
That was something that we were sad that it had to happen. But my job is my job. I have to do it to the best of my ability. What we have seen after that is that the barangay officials have seen how serious we are in the fight against drugs. PDEA is serious in the fight against drugs, that we have to take drastic measures. If need may be, we will still recommend to barangay officials that are not doing their job. We will still recommend for suspension.
Sir, we wrap up our interview now, and I would like to ask you your message to our viewers right now, and to the Cebuanos, as well as the people in the entire country that are watching us right now.
So Fred, again, thank you very much for the opportunity given to PDEA 7 today to reach out to deliver our message to the community. I can just say to the community is that please support us in the fight against drugs. PDEA could not do this alone. We have to accept this problem in drugs took decades before we got to a point where we are right now. So if we can join hands, we can help, we can win this fight. If you have personalities in your community that you are suspecting that they may be involved in drugs, please feel free to report it to us. And also to the parents, always remember that the best fighting unit in the fight against drugs is not PDEA. I have been in law enforcement for a long time. I have seen the best fighting unit in the fight against drugs is the dinner table. It's the family that talks together. So watch your kids. That's all I can say.
Sir, thank you very much for joining the Freeman Conversations.
Yes, Fred, thank you very much.
This is the Freeman Conversations. I am Fred Langido, the news editor. Thank you for joining us. Till next time.